Hey church, many of you know that over the last couple of days we've had a lot of protests in our own city here in Omaha as well as across the country. And I know there's a lot of, even if you look at social media, there's a lot of comments and posts and videos and articles, and just quite honestly, there's a lot of frustration and hurt and anger and confusion. And so just as your pastors for Jared and I, we wanted to kind of zoom out a little bit and just, I know there's a lot of questions of how do we think about these things? What should we act like in these situations? How do we make sense of some of this stuff? And so we wanted to zoom out and maybe not try to stay away from some of the political and try to stay away from just having a fix-it type answer. And we just wanted to encourage us as a church to do three things that we think we should always be and do as a church, but are especially important in these times. So first, as a church, would we listen? And when I say listen, I mean genuinely listen. It doesn't take a lot of love to share a social media post or to make our argument or to try to get other people to believe in what we think is right, but it takes a lot of love to listen. And if we're a people that see other people with different life experiences, or we know that we've never felt certain things, instead of just assuming what we might think, would we be a people that actually listen, that care enough about people to try to understand and make sense of what other people are really feeling, to say that stuff actually is important and it has a value. So would we be a people first that listen? Number two, would we be a people that act charitably and in humility? And what I mean by that is that it's often easy for us to assume that we are right, that the things that we believe are the right things, and that means that anybody who disagrees is just obviously wrong. But we would ask, would we as a church act in charity? Would we assume the best in other people? Would we act in humility, knowing that we're not God? Our political views aren't perfect, our theology isn't perfect, our lifestyle isn't perfect. And if we believe that, then we don't have to assume other people are wrong, but we can actually, in charity, assume the best, to listen, to understand, and try to engage in real relationships. Would we as a people count others more significant than ourselves? That's Philippians 2, what Paul commands the church to act like. And so would we be a people that act in charity, thinking the best of other people, assuming the best, and in humility, knowing that our views and the way that we do things are not always right and perfect. And if we do that, I think we can engage in these conversations a lot better. But three, I think one of the core elements of Christianity is to stand up for the oppressed. From Genesis to Revelation, there is a thread that you can find that God loves and cares deeply for the poor, the lowly, and the oppressed. And frankly, this is the gospel message. This is what Jesus has done. He has come as a man, God in flesh, to stand in for those of us, all of us, who cannot stand for ourselves. When we could not plead our righteousness before God, He gave us a voice. When we could not stand before the holiness of God, He stood in our place for us. This is what God has done. He has sent Jesus to stand in for the oppressed, us. That's the gospel. And therefore now we as the church get to live in that, and we get to stand in for the oppressed. We get to stand when others can't. We get to give a voice when others don't have a voice. This is the heart of God. It's what Jesus has done for us, and I think it's what it means to be the church. And so again, church, I don't want to try to say these are simple solutions to fix all the problems going on in our world, but they are three things that need to mark us as a church. And so would we listen? Would we act with charity and in humility? And would we stand for the oppressed? So if you have any other questions or thoughts, we'd love to help you think through this and walk through this, and that we really can do this together. So reach out if you need anything. Otherwise, we'll see you soon. Love you guys.